Hello everyone, thank you for joining us at this Your Overseas Home webinar and taking the next step towards becoming the proud owner of a home in Spain. My name is Roseanne Bradley, I'm the Senior Copywriter here at Your Overseas Home. Today we'll be chatting with Tim French from European Mortgage Advice Centre about the mortgage requirements for a property in Spain. It's great to have so many of you with us, whether you're watching live or on demand. At the end of this webinar, we'll open up the floor to some questions. If you have any as we go along, please type it into the questions on the tab in the right-hand side of your screen. It should be in the bottom right-hand corner. We do hope to answer as many queries as we can today, but if we don't get around to them all, don't worry, any unanswered questions will be forwarded to Tim and his team at EMAC. So thanks for joining me today, Tim. Before we get started, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Okay, so yeah, my name's Tim French, and I've been a mortgage broker in Spain since 2004, so 20 years now. Regulated and registered by the Bank of Spain. My registration number is D395, and I mainly arrange mortgages for people who are looking to buy properties in Spain, Canary Islands, Balearic Islands, for permanent living, holiday home, investment property, and I work with a large panel of different Spanish lenders. To get the best mortgage conditions.
Okay, fab. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go into our questions. Most of my questions should cover the generic things, but we will go to the audience questions just at the end. Okay, so how hard or easy is it for non-residents to get a mortgage in Spain?
I think it's the process is very simple. We can get 70% mortgages, which is quite good for non-residents. We have to provide, the usual documentation. Provide proof of income. So if you're employed, your P60s and your pay slips. If you're self-employed, your tax returns. Plus Experian credit report. So the banks are establishing what your net incomes are and what debts you have, like mortgage payments and loan payments. And once we establish that and the affordability ratio, as long as it's not over 40% maximum, then debt to income, then the banks are really happy to lend.
Okay, great. And is that 70% the maximum loan to value?
For non-residents, yes, the maximum loan to value is 70% of the purchase price or the valuation, whichever's lower. So if the valuation is higher than the purchase price, they still get 70% of the purchase price. If the valuation was to come back lower than the purchase price, it would be 70% of the valuation.
Okay, cool. And what are the best current interest rates in Spain at the moment?
It depends on different factors, but mainly if you want 70% maximum loan to value, then 2-year fixed rate is good at 3%. 3-year fixed, 3.5% is quite good. There's a full term one. Depending on loans to value, 60%, you can get 3.75 fixed for the full term as well. So it all depends on the circumstance of the client and loan to values. But yeah, generally a lot of my clients are taking 70% at 3% fixed for the first 2 years, because after the 2 years, then we can usually get it refixed again as well. So.
Okay, cool. And if someone was looking to buy in the name of a UK company, is that something that you can help with?
Yep. The loan to value in that instance is 60% instead of 70%. The UK company generally opens up the limited company in Spain, and then the UK company and the clients need to obviously be responsible also for the lending and providing all their income documents and so forth for the property and them personally.
Okay.
They need a lawyer or a consultant to open up the UK company. Is something the Spanish lawyer will be able to assist them with in doing so. It can take anywhere between a couple of weeks to 3 months, depending on the lawyers in the area they're in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You mentioned that it's you'd have to get a Spanish lawyer to help with that. Would your UK-based lawyer not be able to advise in that case?
To open a Spanish company, they would need a Spanish lawyer or a Spanish assessor or a consultant to do that for them.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I know you can't have UK IFAs as they're not always qualified like like yourselves or Chase Buchanan to refer overseas. So that's good. Okay, and if you were self-employed, are you able to get a mortgage?
Yeah, of course. Large percentage of my clients are. In that case, we need to provide, if they're pure employed, their last 2 to 3 years tax returns, business bank accounts. If they have their own limited company in the UK, then same thing. Their last 2 to 3 years personal tax returns, and also their profit and loss accounts of their company.
Okay. And is it important to get a decision in principle before looking for a property or reserving?
Yeah, I think that's very, very important, because especially before reserving, because once you put a reservation down and you don't get the mortgage, then there's a high chance you won't get that reservation fee back. So it gives the clients a peace of mind knowing that when they go to reserve a property or even begin their search, they know they've got a mortgage behind them.
Yeah, and you're not going to get rejected.
I think it's really important to consider that what total deposit, what cash they have to go before they put a deposit down on the property, how much they have to put into the property, because 30% deposit, if you get a 70% mortgage plus the closing costs, can be anywhere between 10 and 15%. So it's quite important that they know exactly what funds they have before proceeding.
Mm-hmm. And what price of property to look for, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So if it's 100,000, then 30% deposit's 30,000 plus.
Yeah, it all adds up. And what kind of documents are required for your mortgage application?
So as we mentioned earlier, so for employed, it'll be last 2 to 3 years P60s, last 3 to 6 months pay slips, employer's reference, last 3 to 6 months bank statements, Experian credit report or an Equifax, but generally I prefer Experian, the banks prefer Experian, but an Equifax is also acceptable. There could be other documents they also require. Sometimes they want the land registry digital document for any properties they own in the UK. For self-employed, last 3 years, 2 to 3 years tax returns, profit and loss accounts for the last couple of years if they have a limited company. Also, if we've said bank statements, but if they have to prove the origin of the funds for the deposit and the closing costs. So if that's coming for another account, an investment, then we also need that bank statement or investment statement. If we're extending the term over age 70, then they generally do want proof of pension provision, so pension statements or pension investment statements.
I'm glad you asked that one. That was my next question. Yeah, so of course you can get a mortgage if you're retiring to Spain on your pension.
Generally, they take the term up to age 70, so that's when the term of the mortgage has to end by. But we have a couple of lenders who will go to age 75, one who will go to age 80, but we have to provide proof that they have, pension provision in place.
Okay.
Another way I get around, there's another little trick. So if the clients are in their 60s looking for a big mortgage, would like a 20, 25-year mortgage. Sometimes we find out if they have any children who are in employment who can also go on the purchase a mortgage with them. So we can use their ages for the term, and then there's also potential inheritance tax saving for the children in the future. So it's something else to consider.
Yeah, that's good to know. And do you need an NIE number before applying?
No, they generally just need the NIE number for when you sign the deeds on completion. Some lenders will require it before they produce the binding offer. So it all depends, but we don't need it when we start the mortgage application. But it's something that their Spanish lawyer will be preparing during that process anyway.
Okay. And how long does it take to get the mortgage from applying?
Maximum 6 weeks. Sometimes less, sometimes more. So only thing that can really not hold it up, but sometimes a little bit slower, depending on the valuer. It could take a little bit of time sometimes if it's a specific valuation company, or if there's festivals, national holidays in Spain or something. There's also a day cooling off period. Once the binding offer and mortgage related documents have been sent to the notary, then there's a 10-day cooling off period, which begins. So after that 10-day cooling off period, the deeds can be signed. So, but apart from that, yeah, usually 6 weeks or sooner, most of my mortgages are completed by.
Okay, cool. And does EMAC have any upfront fees?
No, the fees are due on completion, so
Okay.
which is 1% of the mortgage amount plus VAT.
Okay. And do you know what VAT is in Spain?
21%.
Or does it vary? Okay.
It's 21.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it varied in regions, but that's good to know.
Well, no, it doesn't. What varies is the purchase tax of the property on a resale property. That varies in regions. So in Valencia, where I'm based, if you buy a property there, the purchase tax is 10%. In Murcia, 8%. In Andalusia, it's 7%. So it can vary. That can vary the purchase tax, the transfer tax of the property.
Yeah, that must have been the one I was thinking of. And I assume you need a Spanish bank account?
Yeah, the lender which approves the mortgage will open the bank account for them. So so once the mortgage is approved, we then begin that process of getting the bank account open. Some banks will send the account opening documents to the clients by email. The clients can print the documents off, sign them all, and then send them back by courier, like DHL, back to the bank. Some of them require that the clients go to the branch in person to sign it, or their Spanish lawyer, which could have power of attorney, can also go to the branch and sign it also.
Okay.
So as long as we just need that bank account open before signing the deeds, because that's the remainder of the deposit and the closing costs needs to be in that bank account before completion.
Okay, that's good to know. It's handy that they can open it for you. Sorry if my camera keeps flashing. I don't know if anyone else is seeing that. It doesn't normally do this, so I apologise. Hopefully you can hear me okay. And just for peace of mind for our listeners buying in Spain, are you fully approved and regulated?
Yep, by the Bank of Spain. So my registration number is D395. We have to keep up to date with all the regulation stuff, report to the Bank of Spain every month, update our exams each year as well. So yes, that new mortgage law came in 2020, so all mortgage brokers had to be regulated and pass an exam and registered with the Bank of Spain to be able to continue doing business.
Okay. And are all the lenders, this might seem like a silly question, but are all the lenders in Spain, like Spain based?
Yep, the Spanish high street banks, a couple of other lenders as well, but they're Spanish now. Unlike 15, 20 years ago, there was a few banks in Spain like Halifax and Barclays, which are obviously UK based, but nowadays they're all Spanish ones.
Okay. And one of my last questions: can you get an interest-only mortgage in Spain?
Not for a standard mortgage. If you're doing a self-build mortgage, there's an interest only during the construction period, but otherwise no. There is times when if somebody, client already has a mortgage and you might run into some financial difficulties, the bank will offer him an interest only for a year or so, just so he gets back on his feet. But no, there's no interest only mortgages in Spain now.
Okay, we've had quite a few questions come in, so I'll get started if that's okay, unless you want to kind of summarise anything.
We can conclude with that after the questions if you like.
Okay, no problem. Okay, our first question is from Ali. They're asking, do you have a buy-to-let option?
No, there's not. Not like in the UK, where it's buy-to-let mortgages, where the mortgage is granted based on the rental income the property is likely to generate. It's here.
Mhm.
This mortgage is a straight repayment mortgage, and you have to provide proof of income and pass the affordability to get the mortgage accepted. But
Okay.
you can buy the property, whether it's for going to live, holiday home, or you can use it as investments. You can do with the property. You can rent the property out afterwards, but
Mhm.
they won't grant the mortgage based on the potential rental income that property would generate.
Gotcha. Okay. And Kate's asked, how easy or difficult is it for a retired person to get a Spanish mortgage? So, assuming that you're UK-based, Kate, I'm guessing you're 65 or over, and I know you said 70 was a cap. Is that right?
70 is the general cut-off for the term. So if somebody was 65, then that's a 5-year mortgage, which would be quite a short repayment period. As I said, we can stretch that to age 75. We also have another lender which go to 80. So then it all depends on the level of pension income and other incomes which they might already have. So we'd have to case by case, and also if they have any children who they would like them to go on and purchase a mortgage with them, there might be another option there.
Yeah, that's good to know. Ali's asking, is it better to become a resident and then buy a property, or to buy as a foreign investor? Does one have better options than the other?
No, because the loan to value is only 80% if their income is from Spain. So somebody could be a resident in Spain, but their income's generated from the UK, then it would still be 70%. There would be no benefit of being resident and then starting the mortgage. There's just the benefit of the fact that they can stay in Spain for more than 90 days at a time with being resident.
Nikos has asked, he is 47 and his wife is 52. What's the maximum duration of mortgage in Spain?
So if he's 47, 67, that's 23 years. If it could be, if he's depends on who's the main, if his income is enough to be able to get accepted for the mortgage, then it could be based on his income. If we need his wife's income, it could be based on her. So it all depends, but it should be anywhere between 23 years based on him, and his wife, if say 2, then it would be 18. But then again, we can stretch that past to 75 if they have, any pension provision in place.
Okay, so in general terms, it's typically your 70 minus your age for maximum.
Yeah, but I mean, say if I got somebody who's 60, the bank won't want to get the mortgage. They'll take it to 75. But if somebody's 30, they're not going to take it to 75.
Yeah,
somebody's 40,
that makes sense.
they're not going to take it to 75. So it all depends on their age as well. So they're happy to go to 75, but not for somebody who's say 40. So maximum term is generally 30 years. Generally, I mean, there's exceptions, as I say.
Yeah, that's good to know. Eric's asked, do you or should you seek mortgage approval in principle now based on the expected value of your purchase or budget, just so you have the funds available when you find your preferred property?
Well, definitely it's a good idea to get the mortgage approved before they start searching, and as I say, definitely before they put a reservation down. It only means, say if he hasn't found his property for 6 months, it just means we have to update, the documents. So updated pay slips, updated Experian report, updated bank statements. If we've run into another tax year, an updated tax return or P60. So, but once we've got that approval in place, unless his economic situation is likely to drastically change, then he's got good peace of mind in knowing that he can go ahead with whichever property fits his budget.
Okay, thanks. Nikos has also asked, he's based in the Netherlands, so could I still get a mortgage in Spain? I have a Greek passport and my wife is on a Dutch ID. Her passport's South African.
Yeah, I do many mortgages for Dutch clients. So their tax returns, their credit report there is a BKR, I think. The same documents like in the UK, but the Dutch version. So.
Okay.
I don't want to pronounce the names of the tax returns in Dutch because if he emails me, I can send him the list of the Dutch documents that's required.
Perfect. Thank you. And sorry, I've lost where I'm up to. A. Firth has asked, how much should be set aside for fees over and above the purchase price of a property?
So it depends on the area that they buy in and whether it's a resale or a new build property. Mm-hmm. So everywhere in Spain, if it's a new build property, there's a 10% VAT plus a stamp, which can vary between 1.5 and 2% depending on the location, plus notary, land registry, and then a bank opening commission. So if it's a new build property in mainland Spain, Balearic Islands, then they're looking at around 14.5% plus lawyer's fee and broker fee. If it's a resale property, then depending on the area, as I said, with Comunidad Valenciana, the Valencian community where I am, so like Alicante, the purchase tax is called the transfer tax, and that's 10%. In Murcia region, it's 8%. In Andalusia, it's 7%. So then add plus notary, land registry, and bank opening commission. So it depends on the area. The Canary Islands is a bit cheaper as well than the purchase tax. I think it's 6.5 for sale property, and it's I think it's 9.5 for the new build.
Okay, fab. Kate's asking, would you be able to walk us through the sequence you should follow to get a mortgage? So your first step would be talk to you guys, kind of establish how much you have to spend.
Yeah, a telephone call conversation with me is a good start because we can generally go through their employment situation, self-employed, what mortgages and loans they have. I can generally tell them pretty much 100% whether they'll get a mortgage during that conversation. The next step would be for me to email them the list of documents I'm going to need plus my short fact find. Once I have all those documents back and I'm pretty certain that they're going to get a mortgage accepted, then I will submit that to the lender. I get a decision in principle anywhere between 2 days to 4 or 5 days maximum, so all depending on the complexity of the case. Once we have that written off approval from the lender, then the next step is really applying for the valuation, opening a bank account if they've already found the property which they want to buy.
Okay, that sounds quite straightforward. I shouldn't sound surprised. Sorry.
Well, it's a lot more straightforward in the UK. I mean, I think because we get mortgages through. I mean, if I had to push one fast, I mean, I can get it through in less than 4 weeks. But generally, I say 6 weeks. But I mean, I have friends, and my brother bought property in the UK not so long ago, and it took months.
Yeah. No, one of my friends literally bought in October last year, and she only just moved in. So they really drag it out.
I just think there's no chains in Spain. It's just the one purchase, like in the UK, where everybody has to sell theirs, and there's people. There's no chains like that in Spain. So it's, especially for non-residents, they are moving or either moving from the UK to buy, or they're buying a holiday home or an investment property. So that's why it's so straightforward.
Okay, thanks. Andrew's asking, can you get a mortgage decision in principle, even if you're planning to sell a UK property to free up equity, clear existing debts, and fund the purchase in Spain?
If he hasn't already done that, and the experience report showing mortgages and debts which he needs to pay off, probably we're not going to be able to get a written approval. We can get one subject to the mortgage, the loan's being paid off, we will be able to grant the mortgage. So so there's not going to be that 100%. You have to have had it paid off, but we can get the bank to say, look, once the mortgage is paid off, the debts are paid off, we will be able to base it based on that. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Thanks. And how is someone able to provide proof of income if they're retired or non-working but under 65, so perhaps not on pension yet?
then if they didn't have any income coming in, then they wouldn't be able to qualify for a mortgage. So
Okay.
to have income coming in to be able to, what we're saying about the pension, if somebody's hasn't retired yet, so they're say 60, 61, 62, still getting an income, but they want to stretch the term past retirement age, past 70, then we need to provide proof of a pension statement,
Okay.
private.
And let's say maybe you'd inherited a lot, or you have a lot in savings. Would that count as proof?
It's not proof of income, but it's proof of
Oh, I see.
funds.
It's proof. Yeah, it's
Proof
proof
that
of
you got the
funds, but not proof of income. Gotcha.
yeah. Yeah, we
Okay.
need to prove that they can afford to pay their mortgage payment.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we'd still have to provide proof that they are paying for the 30% deposit and the closing costs if it's 70% mortgage. So that's where we need to show the origin of the funds.
Okay. Thanks. David's asking, I have a small UK mortgage on a main property and less than 20% of property value. Does that preclude me from getting a Spanish mortgage?
No, as long as his income is okay. As
Okay.
long as it fits the affordability. Most clients are going to have a mortgage or more in the UK. Some people have buy-to-lets as well, or car loan, or so forth. If he's only got a small mortgage, then should be no problem with affordability as long as you've got good incomes as well.
Okay, fabulous. Thanks, Tim.
Email me.
Sorry.
Email me if he likes, and we can go through it.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, we strongly recommend you get in touch with EMAC and Tim to discuss your requirements in detail. You can see his email just on the screen there, or if you can scan the QR code with your phone, and it will take you to their website where you can book an appointment with Tim. Before we finish, I would like to invite you to leave us a review on Trustpilot if you found this webinar helpful. And thank you, Tim, for sharing your knowledge with us today. And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Yeah, have a great afternoon. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.